So the hook, I can tell you right now, will determine whether people open it or not. This is the one you want to give to everybody, and in a perfect world, this is the one you want to give to a stadium of 100,000 people. Because once you nail it, it's with you for as long as it serves you. Your hook. So having a compelling narrative to hook people into what you do. So sounds self-evident, but for example, the one that I quoted was how we saved $5 million on our last property. Did you click on that? Yeah, should I click on that? How'd you do it? Right? Tell me about how you do it. That's a hook, right? Todd's not here, but you know what I learned after inspecting 500 houses. You know what transitioning from the farm to real estate taught me about business. You know what raising 8 figures in mortgages taught us about, you know, RSPs or something like that. Like you got to think of a hook, and this is the part of the activity that we want to think through. And you know you're getting really good at this, guys, when you think of your hook before you even think of your talk. So literally design your hook first and then try to see if it actually fits within your talk. Because if your hook is crap, no one's going to read or listen to you anyway. Think about the YouTube videos you guys watch, right? Like you don't click on it, be like, oh, I want to listen to him for 20 minutes before I, decide if I'm going to listen to it. No, that's not how you do it, right? You look at the title, right? Is the title interesting? I know a bunch of guys that literally, so you guys have heard of Alex Hormozi, right? $100 million leads. So I got invited to his workshop at the end of May in Vegas. And his whole thing is like, it's very expensive, but I'm going to spend a few days with the guy, and like their marketing, they'll literally put out the same video on YouTube 4 or 5 times with different titles. It's literally the same video. And why do they do that? Because they want to see which one lands, and then they double down on that one. Same thing with my book. It wasn't called Unlimited Investor Leads by accident. It was a lot of reiterations that then finally, oh, magic, bestseller. Well, no, there's a lot that went into it, right? But it was a thought process. So don't underestimate the hook, because no one will look at your content just because it's the best content, because there's too much stuff out there. There's just, especially now, everybody's realizing that they need to do videos. I mean, would you have ever imagined to do it before? So for example, this book, Unlimited Investor Leads, like this is mine. I own this. I've trademarked it. I own it. It's mine. It's out there. And this book, every day we have between, I think, 50 and 60 plus, inquiries about this, downloads. These are new leads, and they all fill out our forms. And if you guys haven't funnel hacked me yet, you should do it. If you don't know what a funnel hack is, you should figure that out too. Because don't tell me, show me. 3 types of frameworks you guys can use with your talk. The first type of keynote is a direct keynote. So you guys may know it as an evergreen pitch deck or a deal specific pitch deck. That is effectively like an evergreen talk on your deal, or the evergreen pitch deck is like an evergreen talk on your deal. It goes without saying that you guys need to have your pitch nailed, in the context of, here's my 10 slides, here's my 20 slides, here's my practice pitch night. I show up every week, I practice it, I retain it. This is the one that everybody is like an absolute no-brainer. This is the one you want to give to everybody. And in a perfect world, this is the one you want to give to a stadium of 100,000 people. So funnel hacking is literally go through someone's funnel to see how they put you through it. Like literally, that's what I did with Hormozi. And then I found myself spending 10 grand to go to Vegas for 2 days. I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's see. But I wanted the funnel. I wanted the experience. I wanted the process. We're in the real estate industry, which is kind of like the dinosaurs of like the business world, right? You had the YouTubers and Instagram models selling shampoo and bath salts, 5 years ago, right? But we're now starting to use this. So if we're now using it, you could pretty much assume everybody's going to start using this stuff, right? So my point is, there's so much traffic out there now. And the only stuff that you're going to see is the stuff that the algorithm gets you to see. And the only way to get the algorithm to see your stuff is to call it things that people want to look at. So the challenge for you guys is the hook. Like literally today, as you think about your indirect keynote, think about what you would title it. That's literally the first thing. Like think about what would you click on in the context of yourself. By the way, whatever you write down today, it may not be your final product. That's totally fine. But I just want to make sure you guys kind of just understand my thought process, because that's going to be a really important piece. So the hook, I can tell you right now, will determine whether people open it or not. Now, don't lie. Don't say things that aren't true. It goes without saying. But make sure that you position the truth in a way that it's interesting. And it can't be a sales message. It can't be like, learn how to invest your RSPs for better returns. Because Because that's I'm not saying that's a wrong hook, but that's a direct keynote. You guys understand? That's a direct. That's a, hey, you're coming to a pitch. And again, the audience for that is very, very small. You know, you ask people in an audience, hey, who wants to get pitched? Like, who's going to put their hands up, right? Nobody. Who wants to learn about how to use RSPs for second mortgages? I'm interested, right? As an example, it's a direct versus an indirect. So your direct offer, you guys are all, again, 101 training in school, you guys have that, you know, how to invest in mortgages, how to do this, all that stuff. But the indirect is the challenging hook. The good news is once you nail it, it's with you for as long as it serves you. The problem is nobody wants to hear this presentation unless they're super qualified and interested in what you're doing. So from a funnel perspective, this pitch is only applicable to maybe a very small percentage of people, whether you're giving it one-on-one at a kitchen table in a small group setting, you've been invited to pitch your deal, something along those lines. I just want to make you aware of that's the first one. So you have a direct keynote for your deal. The Evergreen pitch deck is probably the best example of that. It's something that we teach as a baseline for everybody that comes into M1. Like, memorize your pitch, remove the deal, just tell the story of the deal without a deal. That's your direct one. So by the way, any marketing material, anything you have around this one obviously needs to be vetted by your lawyer. So make sure you have legal approval on this one, because this is effectively a direct solicitation. So that's what you're doing. You're literally raising capital in front of an audience. So all these documents have to be highly scrutinized. Make sure you do them correct. The second one we're going to cover is indirect. So an indirect keynote is typically problem and solution based. So you'll introduce a problem that your potential client is facing, and you'll walk through a narrative and a story on why that problem matters to them and how what you do is the solution. That's the indirect model. Now, I know you guys do this with your RSPs. You know, if you're tired of the stock market, if you're tired of the volatility, if you want more predictable returns, things like this, that's identifying a problem and offering a solution. You don't have to be very strong at being able to position yourself as an expert yet. You just have to be able to clearly identify the problem that you're solving for somebody and how you got to the solution yourself. So in other words, you guys tell the story about how you guys transition your savings, your RSPs into private mortgages. You know, some of you have versions of that, why you guys transitioned to Florida, the problem you guys are solving for your family. So some examples of problem solution that I did is how we saved $5 million on our last property. You know, recession at your doorstep. Recession at your doorstep. So in other words, I'm identifying an issue that people are concerned about, and then it's like, so here's what I'm doing, or here's what other people are doing. So it's a really easy talk. This is the one that is going to get you guys onto podcasts, and it's going to allow you to like soft sell, you know, your story with the solution in a very concise, value add driven way. The limitations of this talk is that is not going to do well on very large stages or very large platforms. So for example, when I spoke at Best Ever, they're just like, who cares? Because everybody can talk like this. Not everybody, but a lot of people know how to do this type of a talk. Again, if you're new to this is the first one you guys master. And just by mastering this, you'll be able to get on podcasts, speak at meetup groups, get invited to all kinds of opportunities. People will introduce you. They'll start to look at you as a thought leader because you're connecting a problem that's out there with a way that you've tangibly identified how to deal with it. So you start to separate yourself from just pitching a deal to, hey, this is happening in the world and that's why we're doing this. And that's a really good frame for all of us as a backdrop to everything else. The third one, and I'll kind of touch on this one if need be, is a value add. So in a value add, this is extremely hard to pull off because a value add, you're totally untethered from what you actually do. And you're theoretically talking about something that you're an expert in. Think about a TED Talk. Have any of you guys seen a TED Talk? Okay, you never see at the end of a TED Talk, hey, so here's my QR code if you'd like to learn more about animal husbandry or how to be a better husband or how to buy an apartment. They never say stuff like that. A TED Talk is just pure value. That's all a TED Talk is. Like, there is literally no connection to what you do other than because you do this, you have this massive insight into this whole other world, And because of the fact that you're here, you can speak on neurology, or you can speak on, childhood development patterns, or whatever it is. Like, because you have such a strong frame in a specific area, you're naturally invited to share your thoughts, theories, ideas on something contextual. Just sharing with you guys what a value add talk is hard to do. So imagine trying to deliver one, right? Like, it's hard to do. Like, the one I delivered, and you guys have a copy of it, this is the one I did the best ever. So it was 6 steps to building a brand that attracts investors on autopilot. And this is the thing that had people chasing me out of the room, just up and down the hall. Like, literally after the event for the next 2 days, I couldn't take 6 steps. Like, it was just everybody all the time. And I was on stage for 20, 25 minutes. That's not even a lot of time. So a value add talk, like, think about the TED Talks, the ones they have 15 or 18 minutes, and you have to deliver, like, you guys have seen that movie Inception, right? A dream within a dream within a dream. Like you got to do some, like, Inception level mind stuff with people. Like, you have to talk on so many different levels to be at a TED Talk, but that's why they resonate so well, because you're interconnecting so many things. So this is why I don't recommend any of you try to do this one as your starting point, because it's not going to land with your investors. It's going to frustrate you, and you're going to feel like you're spinning your wheels. Even if you land this talk and it's fantastic, because you don't have the other talks in place, you probably don't have the systems in place to actually nurture those contacts with something real. So it's like somebody who blows up on the internet and they have 1 billion views on a video of them catching a Frisbee, and then everybody Googles them. Well, they have nothing to plug into, so all of a sudden you just forget about them because there's nothing else there, right? So there's people that accidentally become that thought leader, but because there's nothing else, they just fizzle away. Whereas the natural way to do it is to build up from your initial pitch, tie your pitch to your actual indirect talk, to eventually, if you want to have a massive impact in front of thousands of people or hundreds of thousands of people, you have to have that value add. But the value add thing, like, I'd been working on mine for 4 or 5 years. Like, it just doesn't, you don't just wake up one day and go, oh, that's what it is. Like, it's a reiterative process.